Evening Gooners. Bit of a impromptu one tonight. I don't normally do a post-match reaction because normally I'm really angry about it. But I've not really got very much emotion at all about today's game, which I suppose is probably a lot of the problem. It's not that far removed from what I was expecting, regardless of my pre-match predictions, which were born out of ridiculous optimism, I suppose. It's just I don't know really. I think something that sums it up pretty well. My youngest, who's 9, she was playing Roblox with one of her mates earlier. She was starting to get a little bit ratty, and I said to her, "Well, if you're involved in a game that's getting you upset, then come out of it. Don't do it anymore." And she turned around and said to me, "But Daddy, you always watch Arsenal games. You always get upset." And I was like, "Got nothing. Can't really argue with that." So I'm gonna I've got a few opinions that I'm gonna drop on you. I've done no research for this video, no stats, no bullet points or anything like that. I'm just gonna go into it and, like I said, share some of my opinions. I'm gonna try to be as objective as I possibly can be, because there's a lot of variables at play at the moment. And it may come across that I'm either Arteta in or Arteta out. I'm not. I'm entirely on the fence. Like I said, I'm going to be as objective as possible, and at the end of the day, I just want the best for my club. To be honest, I suppose the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the manager. I think if ever anybody needed to be able to hit the ground running, at any point, it's Mikel Arteta. Like this season, he needed to be able to hit the ground running, especially in the first game, because then you've got the European champions at home and then the reigning Premier League champions away, back to back. None of us are expecting to get very much, if anything, from those games. I've already spoken about the Brentford game, but the performance in that was dire. But it was never going to be an easy game. Like I said last week, it's a team that's only just come up, first full house game in their really tight, compact ground. It was always going to be tricky, and today was always going to be like ridiculously hard. And there was a point where I was really concerned that it was going to be a lot more than 2-0. You look at the side Chelsea have got, they've just won the Champions League, and then they go and drop 97.5 million on a striker who is far and beyond the striker that we last saw on these shores. He's probably, pound for pound, the best all-round striker on the planet at the moment. And he was always going to score against us. He was always going to be the new Drogba. And if that geezer don't hit more than 30 goals this season, I'll be well surprised. The intensity and the passion seemed to be there. And when we went 2-0 down, I was worried that we were just going to capitulate. But we came back quite well in the second half, and we did battle. But again, it's the same old story. You got the youngsters were, I was impressed with all of the youngsters. Emil Smith Rowe, Bukayo Saka, Lokonga, Tavares when he came on. They all did well. Rob Holding, I thought, had a pretty solid game. He always rises to the occasion, especially when we play Chelsea. And my mate Tony, he called me out a little while ago for some stuff said about Rob Holding, but I got to hold my hands up. I thought Rob had a fairly solid game today. Leno wasn't mucking about with the ball at the back, and the save that he made from Lukaku in the second half, the reaction of Lukaku kind of summed it all up. He couldn't believe he got to it. I think if it was a couple of inches, further to Leno's left, then he ain't getting to it. But there were some positives to draw from the game. mostly, I would say Lukonga, I thought, played exceptionally well. And, you know, even though he might have been bought as perhaps a replacement for Thomas Partey, I think when Partey's fit, it needs to be him and Lukonga in the middle of the park. You know, the kid's just fit right in. I'm very, very impressed with him. Some of the variables I'd like to talk about when you compare the two managers. I don't know what their wages are or the structure of it is, but you've got in Thomas Tuchel somebody who's proven on the European stage, and in the space of half a season, he's turned what is essentially at best a top six club into the champions of Europe. And then you've got our manager, who, let's face it, was probably the cheapest option that the club could go for, but also when it came to offering him the post, let's be honest, who else worth their crust as a successful seasoned manager would take this job? You know, there was talk about Massimo Allegri. You know, he ain't going to take it. People talking about Conte, he ain't going to take it. Nobody in their right mind 2 years ago or right now would take this job. The only people who would take this job is somebody who is green, i.e. completely untried and it's their first job. Somebody who is managing a much smaller club and sees it as a step up, or somebody who's frankly fucking mental. If I was a seasoned successful manager, I wouldn't touch Arsenal with a barge pole when you look at what's above you. My good friend Albert, he mentioned the other night that the hierarchy, the senior management and the management of this club are all rookies. You can't successfully run a club like that. Not even instantly, but not even within the space of 2 seasons. You just can't do it. Excuse me. It's just not possible. There are too many inexperienced people at the helm of this club, and it's not working. I want nothing more than for Arteta to be a success. I see no reason why a club should keep, or I see no reason how you can be successful if you keep changing managers every 1.5 to 2 seasons. It's not sustainable, unless you're somebody like Chelsea who can go out and spend so much money. And then when you look at who they brought off their bench today, they brought on N'Golo Kante, who's probably the best defensive central midfielder on the planet, and has been for quite a while now. Then you've got Havertz, Werner, Ziyech, all come off the bench. Now, I don't know the exact figure that Chelsea paid for all three of these last season, but you know, it's in the region of £250 million of talent that they've brought off the bench, and everyone's losing their shit about us spending 132 million on 5 players, all of whom are under 23 years old. These are the sort of variables that I'm talking about. Now, I'm not saying that we have to look at everything through rose-tinted glasses and that the amount of time we're going to give Arteta is limitless. It's not. I said in the summer that I'll give him until Christmas to see improvements. I mean, real improvements, not just in our league position. Because let's face it, I think we're second from bottom at the moment, and we've got a -4 goal difference after 2 games. I'm talking about real improvements in the way we're playing, to see what his actual plan is, because I don't know what his plan is at the moment. Whether he's looking at playing 3-4-3, 4-3-3. I just don't know. I think with the inclusion of Ben White, if he'd have been playing today, I'd have gone with 3 at the back and I'd have stuck him right in front of Lukaku and just make sure that ball wasn't getting to him, because he was just, it was a man against 2 boys. And the way he brushed Mari off, it looked like Mari almost went down looking for the free kick. It's like, if you're a striker, you can go down looking for free kicks. It ain't going to hurt you that bad. But when you're a defender, you can't go down that easy. And he went down with his arms up in the air. And to me, it looked like he'd gone down looking for the free kick, which is way too much of a gamble, especially with how refs are playing this season. And I don't want to be coming up with excuses, but it does appear that we're still not getting the rub of the green. The Bukayo Saka incident with Reece James, yeah, all well and good. All right, if the refs are being tougher on stuff like that, that's fine. But you got to be consistent. I've not seen the game myself, but from what I've heard, it seems like Spurs got a fairly similar penalty given for them, and I've not heard anything from VAR or Peter Walton or anyone like that to say why the penalty wasn't given. The only thing I can think is that maybe Bukayo's left leg's gone out a little bit to the side like he's looking for contact, but contact was made. And for me, that was as stonewall as a penalty can be. And that's just not just me being biased. It looked straight away like a penalty. And when you've spent as long as I have watching football, you get a sense straight away whether a player's gone down easy or they haven't. And then when you cut to the experts at half time, I expect that people like Graham Souness and Roy Keane are not going to give us the rub of the green. But for someone like Sol Campbell to say, there's nothing there, there's the contact's minimal. Contact weren't minimal. It was straight up penalty, and it should have been given. It hasn't been. All right, fair enough. I prefer the fact that the referees are letting more things go, and it's going back a little bit more to being, a man's game. But it's got to be consistent, and hopefully, in the fullness of time, it will be. We'll see. Like I said, I don't want to be coming up with excuses and conspiracy theories like the whole world's out to get us. But it does feel a little bit like we're not only living rent free in the heads of like Man U and Aston Villa fans. It seems like it's spreading across to most sporting media outlets at the moment as well. I'm just happy that Jamie Carragher wasn't co-commentator on the game today, because I think I would have really lost my shit about that. The other thing I wanted to say was, I can't remember what I was going to say now. No, totally gone. Like I say, this is completely unscripted. I wasn't really prepared for this, and I'm still quite calm about it all. But I don't know how much time Mikel Arteta is going to be given. I don't see that his style of football is working for us. I still think he's got. If he's going to be given any more transfer windows, there's players we need to get rid of. There's players we need to bring in, and I know he's got a game plan that he wants to use. But whatever that is, it doesn't seem like we've got the players capable of executing at the moment. So he needs to play to the best of the abilities of the personnel that he's got. And if that means when Ben White is available, going with 3 centre-backs, with him sitting just in front, which seems like it would be his best role, with maybe Holden and Gabriel sat behind him, because they're the ones who are strong aerially. He's the one who's strong at reading the game and bringing the ball out of defence. So that to me would just seems like a simple solution, to be perfectly honest. I don't see how much time he's going to be given. I don't know how long it's going to take for the Emirates crowd to start turning big time on him. But he seems a little bit lost at the moment. I say I want him to succeed, because I don't want us to be another revolving door club for the manager. Clubs like Chelsea can do that because they can just shell out a £10 million contract to a manager over 2 or 3 seasons. We can't, and we don't do that. I just don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to share some of my thoughts and just put my opinions out there, really. Like I say, I've given the manager till Christmas, but if this carries on, I don't see how that's going to happen. You look at someone like, I think Brighton are on 6 points out of 6. They've not had a particularly tough start to the season, but they've got a manager who, he gets his team playing good football. At the moment, I don't see where our goals are coming from. It seems like all we've got is we go out wide and we put the ball in. but we very rarely get the ball past the first defender. When we do, there's very little presence in the box. I think the only really decent move I can remember us making today was very early on. Lokonga played a beautiful ball out to KT. His first touch was immense. He put an early ball in, and it was probably just almost a second too early for Gabby Martinelli to get on the end of it. But, you know, I mean, you're expecting Gabby to run the line. You know, today against one of the best defences that you're likely to see this season. And he's not ready for that challenge yet. His role is going to be as an impact player. And his future is so bright, but he's not ready for that yet. When Auba came on, first probably 2 or 3 minutes, he looked well up for it. But then after that, he stopped chasing things down. And people were saying that, has Martinelli touched the ball? No, he didn't. But he was running his arse off to try to shut people down, and he got very little service. We still need to bring players in. It may well be too late now, and we might have to stick with what we got. I don't know. But, you know, it may well be a long, hard season. But like I say, I wanted to come on. I wanted to be as objective as possible. And like I said, with the Brentford game aside, which on paper we should have won, but then we should have seen what was coming when we saw how up for it their crowd were. I didn't expect anything from this game or the next game that's coming up. And those are things that need to be taken into account. Don't start like baying for the manager's blood just yet, because there's a long way to go. But we could have done with a much, much better start to preserve his tenure at our club. Hopefully things will turn around. You know, we've got the international break after the Man City game. Maybe that'll clear a few things up, but we need to have some sort of plan going forwards. We're built, when you look at our attacking midfielders and our strikers, they're all very, very fast. We should be built for counter-attacking, and we're not quite doing that yet. So hopefully that'll change. Anyway, I've waffled on enough. I'm going to go and have a beer and chill out and try and fucking forget about this shit show at the moment. All the best. Have a good evening, afternoon or morning, wherever you are. Catch you next time. Ta-da.